Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for the introduction. And also thank you very much for inviting me to this festival. And the topic, actually, I want to talk, they assigned me to talk about is the rise of African film industry, implication and prospects. And let me put these things. First, thank you, Professor, for laying out the ground for me and the others. I don't know, laying that ground, it make it easy or it has complicated what I have to say. For me, I think like you made it very difficult for me after you to talk about this rising, because you put everything actually about the Africa and how the Africa filmmaking has been gone through. And it is also, now it's make it also easy because you have put some points where I can also make my remark on it. And I really, the subject matter itself, for me, it is like new. And for my country also, it is new. Because all of you, you know, my country has been, its independence in 9th of July, 2011. Although we have been one country as Sudan, but the filmmaking in Sudan itself, from the beginning, it was not, actually I can say it was not there. So I will talk from my memory and my experience that as all of us we know that Africa has been colonized by different countries. So each part has been colonized by French, English-speaking people, and after that, Portuguese. And so that one, as Professor said, make also difficult for us to have one language. But as Africa, maybe we could have one language, but because of the influence of the colonial system on us from the beginning, that one make us now, we don't have one language. And that one also made it very difficult for us with our culture, because the culture also has an effect, an impact on what you really want to do. For us, like in Sudan, as also Professor have said, that everything in our memory. We can tell a story because my grandmother, she told me that story, and I can tell it also to my children and my children and my children, but there is nothing written about all those fictions, about all those myths, about all those, but it is all in our memory. Even today, I have been in the movement, as he said, a member of the movement for the Liberation Army from 1985 up to today. But if you told me, what did you do in 1985, the first things or the first conference or the first things you have attended, I will tell you from my memory. But something written there, you will never get. That is also affected our way of the filming. And as I said, in Sudan, for instance, when I am young, when I am a child, in the beginning of my age, there is no even TV in Sudan. Because the TV in Sudan came in 1960s with Aboud government, if all of you know Aboud at that time, because after Azhari, who have been first president after 1956, the liberation of the independence of Sudan, that is the time where he brought that TV. And all of us, I remember that TV, it is only on the park. And you have to run to go and sit there so you can see films or anything you have to see on the TV. And what is first things they have to show us? That they showed us Indian films, and we like it. They show us some Egyptian film, we like it. But they don't show anything about us as us from Sudan. And at that time, I don't think that we think that when you see Egyptian film, you don't think that is African films. But that is it. Because in my culture, that is Arab country, that white, it is not an Africa. You know, I think who are in my age, he can imagine that time. But we like the African, the Indian films. Why? Because it's something, like showing music, and we like music. It's showing us love stories, and we like that love stories. And yeah, it shows us also some, drama, like, how do you call it, when fighting, and so this fighting, and also some part of us, like people in the street, they quarrel, they do, because of the situation they are in at that time. So just I want to say that what has influenced us at the beginning, and after that, the Sudan, they, as a one country, as we are with one country before, so we start to have one or two people. I remember them up to now, and I think there is nobody after them, that they start to make some photographs. And one of them is Jaballa, I think, and one is Khalid Aidaros. And this Khalid, even, when he made the film, it is just like an act. It's not a film, but it's an act with his daughters. They start to make, so they didn't succeed at that time, because in our culture, no, it is very shame how he have to show his daughter like that, and to act and to do this and to do that. And he write the script by himself, and they make the camera, they bring the camera, they take the photos and do this, all of that. But the people, they didn't like it. And one time they made one film, and that they call it the Ersazain. And that Ersazain also, it made a lot of critics. Although they have went and show it in the Arab film, there is Arab festival film somewhere in Algeria, so they went and showed that. So it became like a hell for these people in our country. That's why they have to do this. So this is not our culture. Why they have to do? So from there, I think up to now they have not developed another film. That's also another thing, a culture barrier, the language for Africa. All this, that's where we have became very, and all our memory, as Professor, he put it very well, that is about slavery, about our liberation movement, about our fighting to liberate ourselves, and that all that struggle made us really not to concentrate on this filmmaking. And also our colonial power people or government, they have also made it for us by laws. I know that at the colonial era, there is, especially in French colonial countries, by laws, the filmmakers, they don't make any, the African indigenous people, they don't make films by laws. So that one also delays us to have that. So for me, as a new country also, I don't know, we have only one film. And that's what brought me to talk even about the film, or encouraged me to talk about this topic. Because just recently, some two photographers, they came to me and they said, they want to go to South Sudan, they need the visa, so I can give them the visa, so they can go and make some films to show to the German people the life of the youth in the Republic of South Sudan. So I said, good, excellent idea. I gave them the visa. They went, they came back, and they invited me to the cinema. They said, we made the film, come and see the film. It is 5 short stories They call it Juba Youth Film. So I went there, I saw the film, and I really admired the way they have done it, because they are the only the photographers, but the script and the act and every things from what they have done, it is done by the South Sudanese youth. So I really commend them about that, and I told them, you know, like this film, for instance, what means for me as a government representative here? It means that the government, they have to open their eyes on what is there, really there on the street, so they can start now to develop their own policy according to what they saw in that film. Because sometimes you sit in the office, you don't remember what you have to do, you don't see what is going on in the street, but when something like this is shown to you, that's what you understand. Because there is one film about a student who he did not go to school, but he have to go to school, but when he go into the school, he sit outside, and they start now to misbehave, like drinking, doing a lot of other things. When he come back to the house, his father following him, running after him, why you didn't go to school, and all that. So that one show us something we have to do in our own community. So, and the other aspect that we have to promote also our youth for a new industry. Like the film, for us, it is a filmmaking. Maybe in Africa, as I remember that in Africa, the Moroccan and South African people, they have a long time before ahead of us on this filmmaking. South Africa, Moroccan, and there have many people who have wrote script, and they made some films, and the Egyptian, as he also put it there. So for us, it is maybe in this time we look at it differently than what it is there in Africa. Although as a Pan-African movement, as Professor he put it, they have started to make that network for that film, so they can also recognize how they have to improve on the African film or a filmmaking. And yes, they started, and they have a lot of effort to make that. But for me, like in South Sudan, I feel like, okay, it is also promotion for the youth. There is one film of this one, it is about cultural clashes. And why we have that cultural clashes? Because of the war. And the different people went to different places. Like for instance, some of us who are now back to Juba or to South Sudan, that they came from US, they came from Europe, they came from Australia, they are coming from East Africa, West Africa, and they're coming from Khartoum and from Arab countries, and all of them now, they are there. And you will see the language, the way they interact, the way they also think about the country, the way they think about what is going on there from the government perspective and whatever, it is very different. I know my children, they have been in Canada, and when they are there, because from the beginning they are in East Africa, but after that they went to Canada. When they come back now to Juba, they are in Juba, they start to interact or to talk and to have their community with Eastern African, because that is where they started the school. They understand themselves very well with the group of East Africa. But after that, when they got somebody from Canada, for instance, they leave that East Africa. They go to these people of Canada. He's coming from Canada. We understand each other. But when you tell them, do you socialize with people from Khartoum? No. We cannot understand them, these people. These people, they don't understand us. We cannot go together. And they are all South Sudanese. But because of this cultural clashes, because everybody have grown somewhere, came from somewhere, they will not have that one language. But the film itself showed that. And that is where it is really good for all of us to see it. So we can know exactly how these people do their things and how these people really, they have to enter into the new film industry. And this is also the way for Africa in general. And because of that, I feel like what should be done, our government, they have to be involved in this sector. They have to give it also a priority for this sector. And that is what is lacking, you know. So we have to give this sector the value of that sector. I know, as I said before, that is all what they have before. It is about politics, social interaction, our social environment. That is what it has been reflected on all beginning of our filming in Africa. But now it is more than that. We have to look at it from economic side. And I agree with you. I agree with him that we are the one have an impact when they feature us as a slave or whatever, their films, or putting one black person, and that's what has happened even in Egyptian film. In Egyptian film, always they put, for instance, the person the guard of the building or whatever, he's from black people from Sudan, but they don't give him more role than that. And all of us, we know that, or even themselves, the Egyptians, they know that when they say Bawab, I don't know if there is somebody here talking Arabic, when they say Bawab, he's from Sudan, from the south of Egypt, but north of Sudan. So that one, our mentality, it has to be changed, of just thinking about colonial system, colonial whatever, slavery, behavior. So we have to go deep to ourselves, as Professor also he said. And other things, and other part, that financial aspect of the film, because we have to look at it from economic perspective, so from economic part of it. So we have to put our input, we have to invest financially on this sector. Because if you don't put your own finance, you think that somebody will come and finance it for you, no. Forget about it. But you have to look into that. As an African, we have to look into that. Our finance has to go there. We need more training and technology. All that, we have to have it. Yes, I agree with the professor, we have to put our hand with the hand of who are ahead of us, so they can help us. And I know that is a shortcoming from those industries before. They didn't, move us with them. They move by themselves. They do everything for us and about us, but they are moving and we are stagnant. And now we have to move. So we have to go together and we have to move things together. For our own benefit, also for the benefit of our own people, for the benefit of this sector, and I don't know how many people really, they have the structure in place, for instance, for the films. I remember in Sudan we have like 4 or 5 cinemas, but when I went back, because I have been out of the country from 1985, when I went back in 2007, as he said, in 2007, there is no structure of those cinemas. Even the cinema we loved before to run to it, now it is not there. It became something different. So it means they didn't go up, but they went down. Even now, if you go to Sudan, that is the truth, you will not get. If you come to South Sudan, you will never get even one. All what they have a small rooms where they act, they make some act and they whatever. So you can find that there is no enough light, there is no enough microphone, there is a lot. But still, the people invest in the filmmaking in South Sudan, and especially Nigerian. Now you can go and get Nigerian, they are there. And that is where I can say about the rise of the filmmaking in Africa, especially the thanks goes now to Nigerians, because their films became popular in Africa. But that one also we have to look into. We are not making film only to Africa, but we have to make film global for everybody to see it. And that one needs a lot of effort and needs a lot of things. Because we don't think about ourselves alone, but we have to think about the international community, or the global people, what they really need in our scripture. And so we can put it in our head and mind, and when we are doing these things, we have to do it not only from a small area, but from wider perspective. And I really admire the Nigerian development of the film from the time they started up to now. And now in South Sudan also you get German people, they are there. But as the professor said, also they want to do it for tourism and sometimes for just sharing information and sometimes maybe from knowledge. As I said, the film people, they said they want to go and they come, they show the German people how the youth of South Sudan doing and what they are thinking and how they are thinking. And because of that, they brought those films. So I just really want to encourage all of you, if you are in that sector, don't feel like shy about Africa, but try to work hard to bring the African film to be developed. And I know that the prosperity for the African film is very high, on the rise, even more than what the brick of the professor, I think. For me, that's for me. Why? Because we are now became conscious about that sector. We want the involvement of our government on that sector. We have some of our people who have been really in diaspora, and now they have to think and go back to Africa and develop our films. And we know the resources now, it became in Africa. We are not poor people like before. And there is many African countries now, they have oils. The corruption in diminish, and hopefully, because many people are aware now about the corruption, although the corruption is not specifically for Africa. Corruption is all over the world, all over the world. But now, because it is highlighted like it is an African problem, but the African leaders also, they became aware about that, and they are all fighting that corruption. Yes, maybe some countries not, but still, it means we are wake up. And we know that corruption, what is the effect of corruption on everybody or every sector or every financial institutions. So our economy rise, we have a young generation in Africa. And that's what I admire about those 5 small films. I know if you saw it or somebody from the filmmaking saw it, he will say, oh, what is this? But for me, it is very big. It is by youth. The youth themselves, they are the one who, acting on it. The youth themselves, they are the one finance it by themselves. And that means what? If it is this in South Sudan has only 2 years. What about the South Africa and Nigeria and the other part of Africa? I know the Arabs now, the Arab Springs, that all our intention gone there, but still the Egyptian is still with that momentum of this problem they are facing, still they are working on different type of films, apart from that Arab Spring. But they are working hard. So I think we have to give ourselves a real encouragement that we are in a rise, and our film will rise. And we will be from, now, like before, I see I like Indian films. But now, I don't think I will like it more. I will like more, and even my children, they like the Nigerian film better. So that is for Africa. But it's still our film also to be liked by others, not by only me or my children. But the other has to see that, oh, this is African film, and they run like what we run before to the Indian film. So I think, yes, if we have put all the ingredients that needed for the rising of African film, we will be, and we are, on the rise. And I really thank the Francophone, because the French people, because the French people also, they helped in that industry before. And now, our economy also on the rise, because also China has been involved. I know the other people, Europe and American and whatever, they are there, but still, we have to see them more in our country, in Africa, doing more to Africa. But by ourselves, we are doing excellent, and we are going ahead. Thank you very much for listening to me. Yes.
Thank you very much, Ambassador. We can now take questions. Everybody has a question.
Yes, thank you a lot for your lecture. I'm writing my master thesis about South Sudan and national identity, and I got a question about this national identity. How can film encourage all the identities to become a national identity in South Sudan, and what role is language in that kind of film?
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much for that question. Or I have to wait for other, or I have to answer him? Okay, yeah, thank you very much for that question. And that is what we have struggled all this time about our identity. Because we want that identity of African identity. And we struggled all this time from 1955 until we got our independence in 2011 for that identity. But what is there now in South Sudan? And what is the problem? The problem that now the tribalism became high. And that tribalism, because of all the things I enumerated before, from the war, from wherever we came, and the environment and the situation and the suffering the people have, and whatever. But what is the good things? The good things that now the youth, they are working hard to make one language. That is the language of nation building. And that nation building, it will not come unless we have to unite it. And as all of you, in the media, they are talking about tribal clashes in Jongule. And that one also, it is a creation of the war, we know it. But the good things, as I told you, that now there is awareness of that nation building. So the language, you can have it that, yes, up to now, officially our language is English, but not many people, of course, they talk English, and that is another thing. But all of them, they know that broken Arabic. And that broken Arabic, they call it Arabic Juba. It means everybody in that situation, in all the area in South Sudan, they can understand that language. And that is the language you can start with. And that is where I can also recommend you that you have to join the youth who are making film there or writing. You can write your thesis, you can go and meet them and talk to them. And I'm ready for you if you want to go to South Sudan to see and to write, to look and to see where the people, how the people are doing things and working, and to make that nation building. It is okay? Yeah. I hope I have answered your question. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for your words. I have a question, and that is about the language problems.
Mm.
Do you think it's too late for us to create one language for Africa? Because the colonial days are over, so we have the opportunity to create one language for all Africa and to try to connect each other even more.
Yeah.
Do you think it's too late?
No, it's not too late. And that is what, if we know our leaders before, like Nkrumah and others, they are all talking about that African to be united and to have one language. But as he said, that one, Professor said, it will not deny your own identity as one country, as South Sudan or Egypt or Ethiopia or no. But that one, it will give you that you are in one continent, and like AU, for instance. The AU, they are doing a lot of work tremendously for Africa to rise. And now, as you said, just need time. Because, for instance, if we looked at East Africa, most of the people of East Africa talk Swahili. If you go to West Africa, you will get Lingala in many areas. Or I know that South Africa, of course, they talk Zulu. So it means it needs time for the people to come together and think in the African Union about what language really it can be brought people together. Although, without talking language, but in their heart, they are one. And they are talking sense when they sit on the summit about the African countries. But that one, it is not too late, because nothing is too late. Everything, it needs a trial, it needs a change, and they are changing. And to make change, also, it's not easy. I don't think it is just easy like this. You want to make change, you will get that change. And that's also one of the things that we need, like, for instance, for South Sudan. Everybody think in these 2 years, everything has to be just like Europe. Everything has to be developed, the road, the what. And this is our people also ambitious. That, okay, the government there, everything has to be in place. No, it will not be like that. But it needs time to change. And that is what I am saying every time and all the time. Our youth, they have to be like our ancestors before. Because our people lead us before. Their thinking is different than our thinking now. And this is what we want to bring it back for our youth, to go back to that and to bring the change for all of us. Yeah.
But how can we bring the youth back to the mind of the ancient leaders if we are being guided by Europe and other countries? Because
I know the influence, but still we have to go back to our roots. The influence is huge, I know. And as I told you, my children, they went back and they just don't talk with anybody. They want to talk only with the people whom they know that their language is one and they understand each other, culture and whatever. But that one is not enough. Like for instance, for me, I have a role to play on those children. And because of that, I left them in Juba. They have a Canadian nationality. But they have now more than 3 years. They're staying there in Juba. 2 years, actually, because they went with the time of our independence. They are sitting there, and my mistake that I didn't bring also, because my son, for instance, he have a magazine, and he's writing to bring the youth together to think about the nation building and national identity as a Southern Sudanese. And I really, yesterday, maybe if you give me your address, I will send for you that magazine. Yesterday, I read it, because before yesterday, they sent it to me. Yesterday, when I read, because he's the editor, a letter from the editor, and I'm sitting in my office. I admire it by myself. I said, oh, my God, my son writing like this? Oh, my God, I love it. Oh, my God, my son this is because that's what I planted on him. He's talking about nation building. He's talking about appreciating, although all the communities, everybody is saying, no, the government of South Sudan, they didn't do anything in these 2 years. But when I read his, I said, whoa, he's really have a different thinking. That now, in 2 years, he's appreciating what has been built, what has been there, whatever. So this is what we want. Although you have come from this community and you know it, and you are coming from Europe or where all over, but it's still, here you have that African roots. Yeah. And we have to read a lot, actually. We have a lot of things to read about it. We have many people who wrote books before. We have to read it. And that one brings us back to our memory. That our memory will be sharpened by what they have really done before. And that one would make us to go ahead. And it's good that, the youth, they have to be aware about all that. Yeah.
I wanted to ask a question about the film industry.
Yeah.
That, you are talking about the youth when they are making, they are starting to develop a movie. So the language they use in these movies, because in the developed world, like in Africa, most Africans, particularly in Nigeria, because there are a lot of population, a lot of people doesn't speak good English, like very good English. So why I remember when they started producing movies, they produced in the very, because in Nigeria they have this local English that is speak. It's called broken English.
Yeah.
So that one, everybody understand the language. Even the people in the village that doesn't go to school, they still speak the broken English. It's very easy to understand. So they started producing movies in this broken English and in the Nigerian way of life. So that makes Nigerians like it. That makes them themselves enjoy these movies and they start watching it. And by doing this, they started step by step improving the English and then making it in very good English. So that's how the film industry grew. So likewise, if the youths in Sudan start developing movies, is there any type of language links between the community that if they watch this movie, they could understand? Because watching a movie, when you watch the movie, but if you don't understand or don't perceive what the movie is talking about, you won't have interest, or the community itself, they won't have interest on it. So how are they, which type of communications are they bringing together? Because if they want to make a movie in English or in the highest standard, maybe the youth or they won't be interested in it because they're already seeing highest quality movies in the US or other parts of the world. So which level is it best to start the movie on to be able to bring the community together, and which type of stories would it fit for them to start producing the movies?
Yeah. It is two types you're talking about, two ways, yeah? Because there is films that you are talking about that produced only to the local community or to the country itself or to African in general. As you said about the Nigerian film. Yes, it is a broken English, but I see it and I know many people love it. Although it is a broken English, but they understand it. I don't know how, but when I see the film, I don't move from it. I just sit like this, listening to and see. And this is one of the things I think also for us in South Sudan, one of the things we have, or method we have used when I am women rights activist or have an organization at that time, because our people are illiterate, 98% the literacy rate, and especially on the women side. So when I want to approach the women to tell them about, for instance, early child marriage, I have to go for them with pictures, and I have to take actors from Kenya to take them to South Sudan so they can go and make that act although it is in English, but they understand the movement. They understand. So, our people learn by seeing things. And that's one of the methods, that made us also successful in fighting this negative aspect of our culture. Because this is one of the things of the negative aspect of our culture. Violence against women, for instance. Early child marriage. Not to send your girl to education. All other these topics of human rights, we show to them in picture or in act. And because of that, the language we used, although it is English, but although sometimes we translate to them, but now like the youth films in Juba, you will see it, some, they talk in English, the youth, the young people in the film, like for going to school or whatever, they talk in English. But also there is Arabic Juba, as I said. It is there, but also they translate. And that is what happened before in Indian film or the Indian film, all it is in their own language, but they translate it in English. They put the translation direct. And that is where we read and see and we know the film. And sometimes even, as you said, you saw it, in the film, when they put it like this, it goes very fast. Like Professor before he put, and I'm sure some they read it, some they didn't finish it all. But that is what they do. It goes very fast. Sometimes you don't even see the reading, but you understand what the act itself. So, but that's what I said in the beginning, and also Professor, he said that we are not as African now, if we want the film making, our filmmaking institutions to grown up, we have to look into ourselves but we have to look also to how to make it to the wider audience. It is not only for us, it is for the wider audience. Where, as you said, now the Nigerian films, they develop and became, so because of that, this is not only for us, it is for all over the people to understand and to see how the African film rise. But I agree with you. Inside, we can have also our own languages of really, and that one, it will not be like, that's what has started from the beginning. Just to social issues, you want to make treatment for those social issues. Like I said, for instance, child education. I go and make film about that so they can see it and say nice, so they can also change their mentality and they send their child to school and see the benefit, why they have to send their child to school and whatever. But that one, it will not, if I brought it here in Europe, it doesn't mean anything for them. Because already all the children, they go to school. But for me, in Bahra Ghazal, for instance, or in Upper Nile, it is something very big to have a film like that. So because of that, we have to have those mobile cinema, where it goes to everybody in the village and everywhere, so they can make that changing of the mentality. And also with the education now we are in, and the people who are abroad going inside, also this one enhance what we are really have, and to enhance even our language. I don't know if I really satisfied you, but maybe you also will satisfy me also, if you have any other things. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Excellence, for the wonderful lecture. I am coming from Tanzania, and I have been hearing a lot about Somalia. But for us, people from East Africa, you are close to us, but still you are very far from us. You are more involved with the Maghreb countries, and your involvement with the Central and Southern Africa and West Africa is really not good, as I can say. I mean, when we talk about Africa, I see like Sudan is very isolated from other Africans. Yeah. You are not so much interacted. I mean, if we talk about film industries and all these cultural industries in Africa, we really need to interact. How is Sudan taking that thing?
Yeah, I agree with you. Sudan in general, as before, they are a little bit more involved with Africa, with Arab countries. Although they are in the AU, although they are in Commerza and all these institutions, but they more depends on whatever coming from. And because of that, I told you about how before we see the film, we see Egyptian films, we like it. But because our mentality at that time has been sharpened to Arab countries. But for us now, as to Sudan, the Republic of South Sudan, as you can see in in the TV, that they said Republic of South Sudan TV, truly Africa. I don't know if you saw it, the South Sudan TV. That is their, whatever, how do you call it, how they want really to let everybody know that our mentality, our identity, all what we fought for, that one, because we are truly African. And I know now we are more closer to Kenyans, more closer to Ugandans, but Tanzanian a little bit far. I agree with you. And I don't know, although Tanzania, they have the real Swahili, and they have one language with Kenya and Uganda, although they are, everybody think that they talk more original Swahili than the others, and this is also a problem. But yes, especially in the filmmaking, we don't have that one in East Africa, but it is mostly in West Africa. And that one also, that I said thank you to the French-speaking countries, because the French, they are the one, influence those countries. Because even in Morocco, for instance, the people from Morocco, they have a lot of films that one been influenced by or has been sponsored by French. But in East Africa, actually, our industry has not been developed well so far and up to now. And we hope it will really comes up. And if we start to say what my daughter there said, that the language, how we can make it one language. If we can start in East Africa by that, for instance, to make ourselves all, for instance, speak Swahili, for instance. So still we will catch up, and we will catch up all the wider perspective of Africa after that in language. So, because it has to go step by step. And now I think the Republic of South Sudan, they are aware about that African identity, and that's what we work. Like Somalia, for instance. The Somalia, they are from the Arab League. They joined the Arab League. But it's still the Somali, they don't see themselves more African than Arabs. But the Sudan, for instance, before, they see themselves more Arab than African. But after that, now it has been changed, that mentality. They want to be with Africa. They want to, everything in Africa, they want to enter into it. They are in the AU before because of the Republic of South Sudan is part of Africa. But now, even with this separation, they don't have that link with Africa, but still they want to be in the AU. Like, for instance, Libya before, long time ago. Libyans, they don't see themselves before, long time ago, as African, but they see themselves as Arabs. And now, if you go to Libya, everybody thinks he's an African. They are not Arabs. And that is where their leaders, because their leaders, for instance, Gaddafi, before he put that one on them, that they are Africans. And now they became aware, yes, we are Africans. So this is how things, slowly, it will come. I know the difference is huge, but we have to work on it. Thank you very much. Thank you.